a reporter for the Times-Union. I'm a member here at Palette. I'm very proud and very excited to be here because it got me out of my house and helped me a great deal to bond with other working women and working moms. So I'm here with a couple other badass working moms. I want to just give a shout out to my son Devlin, who's out there. He wanted to come today. He had the option of staying home and he wanted to come and see what mommy does. He usually sees me typing and talking on the phone. So this is a different context for him. So I want to introduce two other ladies here. We have a third coming, Liska, who, you know, it happens. Mom stuff comes up, work stuff comes up, and we start running late. Anyone who knows me knows that I am consistently late. So I was so excited to be here today. I was 24 hours early. I was here yesterday, briefly. So ladies, if you, oh no, just let that be.
I'm just going to let him laugh.
Just, he doesn't really want to sting you. Okay.
So he does.
So Lauren, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All righty. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Lauren Boyer, and I've been a working mom ever since I had my children, who are now adults in both cases. I have a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I'm very excited for Women's Equality Day because, as I'll tell a little bit through the Q&A, I guess, you know, how I paced my career and how I structured things to be able to have everything that I wanted. Not always perfectly, but I have a professional business that does advertising for pharmaceutical marketing and for healthcare device companies. We focus on entrepreneurs, and we absolutely love surrounding our structure around theirs to help them thrive. So that's what our business does.
Eliza.
Hi, I'm Eliza Bianco. I have 3 little kids, 1.5-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I'm an assistant vice president at a public relations firm in Albany, Baker Public Relations, and I work with our hospitality, lifestyle, food and beverage clients. I have a background in sort of cut my teeth in PR in New York City, working with celebrity chefs and restaurants and hotels down there, and then got married, moved back up here, and did the whole marriage kids thing. But now, luckily, I found myself at a great firm. The CEO is a woman who has several kids herself and understands you know, a lot of what I'm going through, so we were able to make it work.
Awesome. So I have some questions for you. I think that a lot of us hear these same questions, but you know, let's get some stuff out of the way. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was partnerships, your personal partnerships, that your spouses. How important are those things, those relationships, to making what you do possible in terms of the job and and raising of the kids? Yeah, yes. Go ahead, Lauren.
We'll stay in order. So I had been very fortunate when I jumped out of consulting and into the business that I'm in, which is Underscore Marketing. I was fortunate enough to join a partner, a male partner nonetheless, but in a different stage of life. So what I needed at the time when I had small kids was not what he needed, because he didn't have children or they weren't quite the same stage. And so that really worked out well. The other huge partnership I had were the teachers at school, because I put them in school full time as soon as they would take them. And we really pushed the potty training in some cases. And then I also had au pairs that lived with me throughout. So those were really the main trifecta partnerships. My spouse had his own career. And that was, you know, he was very much a partner at home and in terms of co-parenting and working together. But we each had our own thing that we had to do and had to bring to the table to be able to have a healthy, happy family.
Yeah, so I am married, and my husband, I am very fortunate to have, you know, he's a great dad. He's a great partner. Same thing. Like, I feel like we've found ways where, you know, he needs to step up in certain ways, and then I need to step up in certain ways. We definitely balance each other really well. And he's great with the kids. I mean, I feel like for me, yes, with work, he tends to, like, when it comes to the kids, you know, during the work day, again, I feel like I'm the one that's like sort of responsible for dealing with the kids. If anything happens, like if someone gets sick, like that needs to fall on me, just given like his work and what that entails. But I tend to need socializing a lot more than him. So he allows me to, I like to go out and things like that. And he's not as into that as I am. So whenever mom needs a night out, he's like happy to take the kids. And We live in this area in Saratoga. For one of the main reasons is because we have family close by, and their support and help is like huge. And then another partner that I have that I feel like same thing. I think childcare is so important. Like we have a nanny at home that's been with the kids. Some of my kids are in school or some are not, but to find someone who will assist you is like, I don't know, it's kind of like a unicorn. I feel like you're always either looking for a babysitter or to find something that works. Right now, I don't want to like jinx it. We have like a really good situation right now with our nanny. And I don't know like how I would do any of this without her. And then again, another person who's like really important in my life that helps me get through times is like my sister. So I have a twin sister who just moved here during the pandemic, who also has a little kid. And I feel like we can really lean on each other for, support and help whenever needed.
I get flack because my husband cooks. He does all the cooking. And it's 2021. And somebody will still be like, what do you mean? I mean, a lot of the women that I encounter like, oh, you're so lucky. Because I grew up, I'm an only child, but my mom did everything. I mean, she did all the cleaning. She had a full-time job. She was a school teacher. She did all the cooking. She did everything there was to do. And, we still, I think, run into those tropes, where it's like the mom is expected to do the things. And I think we talk a lot about the psychological weight, right? So it's like, I'm not going to make the doctor appointment and then assign my husband to take the kids. It's like, no, I'm not going to do any of that. You can make the appointment. You can take him, that kind of thing. So the joke in our house, though, is daddy makes dinner, mommy makes mac and cheese. Remember that? Devlin's like, I learned to make tacos. My tacos are good. I perfected it. So another reason last year was the big year, right? We celebrated the 100th anniversary of women getting the vote. And yeah, yay. And now we sit here with another landmark moment on our hands, a female governor. Our first ever. We got to 2021 before we had a female governor under some unique circumstances, right, in New York. But we also face these really outrageous challenges. So, when the shutdown came in March, I'm curious of 2020. I'm curious how each of you handled that. Did you start? I know Eliza's like, no, I just crumpled to the floor. That was me, just eating Chips Ahoy at my dining room table. So Lauren, you can go first. If you can cast your mind back to those dark times, how did you cope? How did you cope both handling your business and handling your family?
Yeah, so I think that I'm going to be a little bit of an anomaly here because the kids are adults, right? So I can talk a lot about what was and mistakes. A lot of times people like to hear about how I screwed up, which I'm very willing to share because there's lots of them, probably more than successes, but I say win or learn. But back in those moments, I actually had to make a critical decision. So I'm divorced from my kid's dad. We're best friends, still best co-parents ever. And I really mean it. It's not even, he'll say the same. But I had to choose, did I want to live downstate or did I want to be up here with the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? And that was a really tough choice for me because I still had the business based in New York City, but I had two things in my favor. One, my son was accepted to University of Colorado and he decided to live on campus and they let him. So he was off. There was like really no guilt going on there. But that was really the big thing that I had to navigate. And then what was I going to do with Ella, who was supposed to be going to high school for her senior year? Luckily, she got accepted into a boarding school in Michigan. So it was really pretty clear. I could just completely relocate my life and be down there anytime they're down there. So I would do the back and forth thing for 3 days a week while managing the business and not having to see clients and staff in person actually it made that something that I could do and make attainable, where that would never have happened. I was supposed to be, 2 years out before I was up here. So it did accelerate things. And I guess for the good, we'll just never know, right?
I have sort of an opposite of experience. More of a cliche probably experience. Yeah. So when the pandemic hit, I was actually on maternity leave. So I had a newborn. And then all of a sudden I was home with a newborn and then the kids' schools closed. So I was home with a newborn. And then at the time my other kids were 2 and 4. So I was home alone in that scenario. And it was like a dark treadmill. Like it was really hard. And I was supposed, I was on maternity leaves, which aren't that long, to begin with here, where we live, but there was absolutely no way that I could start back at work with these 3 little kids home. Like, I guess I could have remotely, I don't know. I mean, the fact, like, I would to get 8 hours worth of work in a day is like it would be a joke. So I had to have that hard conversation with my boss to see what my options were. So I basically had like an extended leave because, no one knew it. Everything was so new. We weren't bringing in childcare for, you weren't going to have someone come in and out of your house during the pandemic. My husband was luckily, his folks have a condo here and he was able to leave the house and go there and work to get work done. So I was like home with the kids, but luckily I was, I had a boss who allowed me to extend my leave, but then at the same time, I was not able to go back to work. I didn't have a salary. I didn't, and I saw myself almost like becoming that cliche of like women sort of needing to leave. And I was hoping that wasn't going to be the long-term case, but at that point we didn't know. I mean, luckily we got through it. When we started to come out of it, it hit a point where, okay, we're going to kind of be in a bubble with our nanny who was going to come in. So then I could kind of get back to work. But that didn't happen until, that following summer. So pandemic hit in like March. So I think June or July, I went back to work finally, but it was rough.
So how long did you end up having maternity leave?
So then I was out from I ended up being out from December through July, and then, it was dark, but at the same time, it was amazing to be with my baby that long because my other kids, I threw them into a care at 12 weeks. I don't know if we're going to get to that, but that, talk about not like a mom fail, but I feel like your babies need you so much at that age. And I didn't have a choice, it was like I needed to make money. So here they go to someone I don't know. And they're only 2 weeks old. So it was kind of nice to kind of have that time. I can't believe I was able to be with my baby until she was like 5 months old or, whatever it was. So.
I know it shouldn't be the exception. My boss, Sarah Tracy, the features editor at the Times-Union, she had a baby at the end of April and she's still on maternity leave. She's going to be on maternity leave till the end of September. And that's so wonderful for her because I did what you did. I had little kids, they went right away to daycare. I had, a lot of guilt about it. And then when you don't feel guilty, you feel guilty that you don't feel guilty because you want to work, because you really love what you do. You love your children, but you love what you do. So, what I'm hearing, and I want to talk to you about this, we're going to talk more about childcare, but that the BS word, right? Balance. Let me tell you, someone I met through Women at Work, which is a membership we have at the Times-Union, put it to a group of us this way, that you always have balls in the air and you have to know which are plastic and will bounce and which are glass and which will break when they fall, because they're going to fall. And she always said, no matter, she worked for GE and had a big job at GE. And she said, no matter how, where in the world I was, if my kids needed me, I had to be there for my kids. Like that was the glass ball that I couldn't drop. So I wanted to talk to you. I mean, you both addressed this a little bit about how it's worked for you so far. But doing that, how do you make choices? Is it intense scheduling? Some women are really good at that. I am really not. But I mean, it's like you have to be hyper organized because you have to, you have a hard out. Like I have to leave at 5 to pick up my kids. Share with us some of the examples in the way, when your kids were little, or even now because you travel to see them or they're going to be in town, you want to spend time with them. Describe to us the ways in which you schedule to make all the pieces work. Liska, hey lady, you look beautiful. Okay, we were just talking about the balance. And I hate that word, but how you do the whole, I want to fulfill my professional dreams and I have these children that I love and want to take care of. So I'm going to have Lauren go and Eliza go, but when the mic reaches you, if you could also throw in an introduction of yourself, and then also if you want to take on that question. But Lauren, go ahead.
So trade-offs and choices. I mean, I don't think there was ever a time that I felt like I picked the right choice and relieved myself of guilt. It was always just what didn't break. So I really liked your analogy of the balls dropping and, what could break and what could bounce. There were things that I wouldn't miss, and it really would come down to the kids having to be responsible to tell me what they needed their mom for and be really super honest. And we just developed this relationship since they were little. I was very fortunate to start when they were young, working from home and having somebody in the house to help care for them. So they knew when the door was closed that was, out of bounds. And we kind of grew up with that situation. Slowly, as they were a little bit older and both in school, I started leaving the house. And that's where it became really challenging, where I had to make those trade-offs, where I had to think through like, okay, is this just a practice, or do you think it's going to be a shining moment? Like it's not about me missing something, it's about you missing me. And I don't want to scar you any more than I already have. So let's just be really open and honest and tell me what you need. And they've been really good about that. And we've had a very open relationship, but it didn't start smooth. And, sometimes there's still bumps.
Yeah, again, I feel like I'm still in that phase where, my kids are too young to obviously have those types of conversations with me. And I think so far, I feel like I maybe have unfortunately missed a lot of little moments. I don't know how important they are in the big scheme of things. Little plays or Halloween parades or whatever they are. Like I've missed them. So I'm right now, I am trying to I've only been back at my job for a year since having my littlest. And I'm really trying to just continue to ramp up there. So even though I do have a flex schedule, so I'm allowed, I'm allowed to go to work late, leave early so I can help with pickup and things like that. But yeah, there's not, other than that, I feel like right now I'm in a place where I'm continuing to miss things a little bit, but that flex schedule does help so I can, be there for drop-offs and pickup, but that's about it. I'm not really, and then if I feel like when they really need me, if there's an illness or something like that, but right now I'm a little bit pulled away, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. So hello, everybody. Happy to be here, arriving fashionably late, but I appreciate the grace that y'all saved the seat for me. My name is Liska Wilson. I am a DI communication strategist at Tangible Development, and I also run a not-for-profit called She's a Boss, all of which have everything to do with workplace equity and diversity, equity, and inclusion. For the question in regards to harmony, I don't remember the full spiel of the question, but you use word balance and you said you don't like that word. I don't either. I traded it in for harmony because the fact of the matter is we are going to miss some things, but it's really a trade-off opposed to just flat out balancing things. It's sometimes work is going to demand me more. Sometimes my kids are going to demand me more. But I've been extremely fortunate. I have a great support system. I'm a single-ish mom, as in I co-parent. I have 2 kids. This is my youngest, and I co-parent with 2 dads. But they are, pretty much involved in their life, their schedules. So that's extremely helpful. And if there is things that fall outside of what is supposed to be my parenting time, they're amicable to, to trade things off in that way. And then my parents, I have 2 siblings out in the area. Actually, one just went back to college, so I just lost one of my people. But I also have a very long-term friend that I've known since 4th grade. She's a part of my support system. So I'm just fortunate in the support system, but then also fortunate by way of the jobs that I work. Right now at Tangible Development, I'm able to do a flex schedule. I'm able to do a lot of remote working as well. Able to do a lot of remote working. So that's extremely helpful in creating that harmony. In a lot of spaces, I'm able to bring my children with me. She's only 2 years old, so I can't have those mature conversations with her. But I do have an almost 10-year-old, and she is very emotionally and mentally mature. So we do have those types of conversations. Oh, do you need me to come to this thing? No, actually, I don't want you. In fact, she tells me sometimes, I don't want you to be there. And I'm just well, okay. That makes it easy in scheduling, even though my feelings are hurt. But really, for me, solid support system. I really lean into the old code adage or whatever, but that it takes a village, and I really have a dope village. Like that is, they don't even know what I do half the time, but they're there when I'm calling. I'm like, I just need somebody to watch them for 2 hours. So I'm fortunate.
It's here for dope villages.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm lucky. I have both sets of my my kids' grandparents are in the area, and it's immeasurable help to have someone who you can call on, regardless of who they are to you, friend or grandparent. So one of the things that Palette is working on, that Catherine has been doggedly pursuing, is to be able to provide childcare for members. Looking out, and we've heard Senator Gillibrand talks a lot about this. It's been a continuous issue about how women need good, trustworthy, affordable childcare, and how that doesn't seem to be a priority for anybody, and for the powers that be that could make it happen. So trying to work towards that, trying to solve solutions. I have friends that live in, maybe those of you who've had help. I have a friend who lives in Brooklyn who has a nanny share. So that's one way in which she and her partner have solved some of their daycare issues. But I'm curious to know, not so much in what you've done, because we talked about that, but in the clients that you have, in the people that you work with, in what you've seen out there in the world. Two-part question. What do you see working for clients that you have? And two, what would you like to see? Kind of dream scenario, if you could all talk about how you'd like to see childcare work. Is it subsidy? Is it on-site childcare? You go to your corporate job or whatever, and your office has something right there. That's done in some places. What are some things you've seen and would like to see, Lauren?
Sure. So when I worked in corporate America, we did have childcare opportunities, and it was a chain childcare organization that was respected, accredited, very trustworthy, but it was on campus. So anybody that wanted to use that could get into the wait list and, potentially get a spot. I don't think everyone got a spot that they wanted. I think people had to make arrangements. I also felt like there were women that changed what they wanted to do about motherhood and parenting based on what they could get at the company, because they were making trade-offs in their career. So I did witness that firsthand. It really scared the shit out of me, frankly, and I left corporate America for that reason. I didn't feel like somebody else's infrastructure should control my thinking in that way, and I could see it seeping in, like feeling like you're wrong all the time because you really just want to run over and say hello. My kids weren't even there, and I wanted to say hi to the other ones. But the point is, I think every woman needs to make her own choice as to what she wants in her career and how she wants childcare structured, and needs to find a company that works with her on that and is flexible. So I've worked really hard in my own company to make sure that the women that work with me have what they need and they don't have to be embarrassed, and there can be a safe environment about things that are personal. If you need something and you want to talk about it, it doesn't have to be an HR moment. It can be just a normal person-to-person moment about having a child and recognizing that we're living human beings. We're supposed to be pursuing our lives and raising other, talented, wonderful people in the process. So how can we do that if somehow work has to take over everything in our mindset? And that's really, I'm never going to be perfect, but I'm always on a path, and that's one of the paths I'm on.
What I hear there is you make the choices you want to make for your life drive your decision making, not I work here, so I've got to do things that this place provides.
Yeah. If anything, I mean, you call me fickle or whatever, but I have to have my needs met, and I'm a miserable person. And I've seen people stay in situations, whether it be a job or a marriage or, a relationship, any kind of circumstance that feels constraining, and it erodes them, and it's terrible. And I think that you should figure out what's you and be you, and give yourself freedom to do that however you need to. And don't apologize if people, like some of the people at the mom's, coffee used to look at me like, you're going back to work so soon? Like, she's a baby. I'm like, okay. So, but you got to do what makes you happy, and it's different for every person.
Yeah, I mean, childcare is a big thing for me right now. Having 3 little ones. The third one's a surprise. I thought I was out, having 2 in childcare. Wow, that's a big number. And then we were like, we had all these plans, for when the first one went to kindergarten. We felt like, oh, we were like have all this money back, and then I'm pregnant again. So there was the addition on the house and everything. I think something massive needs to change in terms of childcare affordability. I'm getting too small, but my husband and I do okay. You know what I mean? Financially, and it's still it's like we have nothing, only because we have two in childcare. It's like my entire basically, like I basically work to pay for my childcare, which I don't think I'd want it. I'm not going to stop working because I think I would just go insane. But it's like and I'm not here to speak on. I don't know what that answer is. If it's subsidized, something needs to happen there, because it would be a changer, I think, for everybody. I just keep thinking, oh my gosh, what are people doing? Thank goodness my husband has this good job. Thank God, I have this good job. Like, there are people that are doing so much. I don't know how they're doing it. I'm barely doing it. I'm barely making it. Ends meet every month. It's like, sorry, that's probably 2%.
No, I'll throw the number out there. I remember the year that we had 2 kids in daycare. It was $20,000 that year. It was $20,000. It was a lot, and we had those same conversations of like, well, what are we going to do when we have this money? What are we going to do? And so, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead.
No, you're good. So, yeah, I don't have like a cookie cutter answer. I don't think there will be a cookie cutter answer. To Lauren's point, it's going to vary based on the person and what they think is good for them. Speaking from myself and my own experiences, I've been on subsidy programs for childcare with my first daughter. So that was like, that was more than 5 years ago. But it was a little bit ago. I was on a subsidy program for childcare with her. It was extremely helpful. Like, at the time, I wasn't really getting as much help from her dad in that aspect. So the subsidy really was huge. I think I was maybe paying $100 a week, if that. So it was a huge help. So I know that is a solution for a lot of people, especially like for myself with a single parent household. But it was huge for me. Now, my second time around, I really don't want to put her in daycare. So again, leaning on my support system has been tremendous when it comes to paying people. I definitely believe in cooperative economics and leaning into that village concept. So for some communities, for some people, I love the idea of like the nanny share. Like, so my friend, she does childcare for me 2 days a week with both my daughters, and she has a daughter of her own, which is my older daughter's age. So it works out for them. They love going over there. She's amazing. And what I've been trying to do, like, she is into it, but I've also been on the back end trying to get her more into it, trying to find people for her to watch kids, like to watch other people's kids, so, like to do that so that she doesn't have to fill in with another job somewhere. Because I'm just like, just don't. No, should I do this job or something? I don't think that's you, right? Like, I don't think that's you. Whatever you do, just don't do it on Monday and Tuesday. But I think going back in a sense, really, to that type of village concept, like pre all this capitalism, pre everybody just has to work as their form of living and not even actually make a living. They're just working to survive. But back in the day, like I'm talking tribal times, it was a village where all the kids would go to so that the adults could work for the day. So, to be in communities like that where you have somebody you trust, that a group of people trust, if there are structural things that can support that type of concept, I think that is something, at least from my perspective, that could be sustainable.
So I think probably last question, and then, right, Catherine? And then, of course, if there's any questions from if there's any questions from anybody else, I don't know if I can take them from our online audience because I can't see that, but I can. I can't. Just okay. Okay. Yes. League of Women Voters over there in the hot sun. Oh, lady. So okay. So last question. I just wanted this to be fun. What do you know how your children would describe what you do for a living?
I know this one, right? Because I was snooping around. It's my phone, but she uses it 'cause I have another phone. But when I feel like it, I'm like, that's my phone anyway, so why are you on it? But so I was snooping on it, and she did like a little TikTok video where it's your mom on one side, your dad on one side, and the categories were like what they do for a living, you know, things that you think about them. So on my side, for what I do for a living, it said, I don't know. So she would really have no idea, right? So she knows that I do a lot of meetings. She knows I'm typing a lot on the computer. But if it down to it, like, what does your mom do? She has no idea. But she likes the fact that I'm a boss. I'm a leader in the things that I do. And that's the piece that she really clings on to. But does she actually know that I do diversity, equity, inclusion, communications, consulting? Does she know that I do like program development? Not really.
It's so important too what you do. Like that's part of her future. Like this is DEI is like that's next level. Next level. So what's the little kid version of Eliza?
Little kid, like I have really little kids and they don't. But my oldest, who's turned 6 recently, he thinks I get people on TV. His job, and which I do, being in PR. Like I, pitch things and we do secure media in the Times Union or on TV. But I think got it when he saw Cat and then watching the morning news for my clients that we do get on TV and things like that. It hit him when Catherine, we did a bunch of like when they first opened, still continue to do so. But when Catherine, I said, "Oh look, it's Posey's mom on TV." Like I worked with Porter and they wanted to talk to her, and so I get people on TV.
That's awesome. I actually don't know if my adult children know what I do or care. Just that they have money when they need it. No, that's mean. They know now, but when they were little, there was no way. I don't think they could comprehend such an esoteric thing as not even getting people on TV, but negotiating the paid media, like the sort of dirty side of what you do, which is, let's just buy it because we don't have a real story, but we want you to see this product. But I will say that the products that we work on are rare disease products and rare cancer stuff. So at least the stuff that we're putting as our aware, so to speak, are really for the greater good. So I feel like I can sleep at night based on that, but the kids slept fine, not knowing.
So thanks everybody. Thanks for coming. Is there any questions out here? Anybody wanna bring up anything that I didn't bring up? Please.
What's your best piece of advice for a brand new?
Oh, yeah. We'll let the closer answer go first. Maybe repeat the question.
Brand new working mom.
Yeah,
Best piece of advice for a brand new working mom. I think it's really like there's not really good advice that I can really give for this besides a lot of things we already said. Like you have to know what your priorities are and your boundaries are and kind of stick to those. I know for me, when I was a brand new working mom, it was a lot of bringing my kids everywhere with me because I was determined that they would see that I'm working for this money that I'm using to buy them ice cream. So I think being able to expose them and integrate them as much as possible, opposed to trying to have it be this separate thing. So I kind of, let's not put my shirt down. So it kind of goes back to, it's not necessarily balance, but harmony. So I try to just make sure they're integrated as much as possible. Thank you for the visual support.
What is her name? Azora.
Oh, she's so cute.
Hi, sweetie. This is my mommy. You can only follow her.
It's not, I mean, I guess it's advice. It's just, I'm not even going to say it gets better because that's so, I mean, it will, but it's like that doesn't help anything. The being kind to yourself. I mean, just the amount of tears that I've had in the office for getting pump parts like right before meetings and like missing things like children standing on top of their high chair in their lunch while trying to pitch new business. Like it's just it can just be so bad and so dark. But yeah, I guess just know other people, like you're not alone and you'll get through it. And yeah, if you have to like cry or just not work a day or take personal time or, just be kind to yourself. And you have people here that'll, you can have a drink with, or, that's what I always needed, just to get out and see friends. But yeah, so again, no real good advice, but yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah, no, and I think that the other thing is that one of the experience shares I have is I had to change a lot of my own narrative to be able to be happy, meaning that I was never going to fit into somebody else's and feel okay with it. So if there was a construct in my mind which went something like, well, you're supposed to work and be great at that, but you're also supposed to have perfect, healthy, happy kids. You're supposed to come home and make dinner. Everything's supposed to be clean and tidy, and you're supposed to look good. Well, I still don't do mine now, so whatever. But the point is I had to change a lot of things that were written in my own narrative that were not for me, so that I felt like I was still succeeding. And then I had to do things that were really scary, consulting, where like no one in my family ever did anything like that. That's just dangerous, maybe not, as safe. So I had to step way out to like navigate and find what eventually turned into my own narrative and truth and made me happy. So I just say, like, when it's scary, you're stretching, you're learning, and that's probably good, even though it feels horrible at the time.
And my advice is, and this is born of regret, right? So when my sons are 9 and 11, and when my first son was born, I did feel a lot of pressure about going back and myself and this, and I've been at the time for 19 years, so built up a lot of I didn't have to prove myself in that way, but I felt it. And there was just when I picked up, I had a full in-home day, would have kept him 24, and there was too much time that I missed, and I hate to be like that, because you can learn a job, you can do both things. It's just that you got to really prioritize, because the little shit doesn't matter at work. It doesn't. You got to learn to it took me years to learn this, but just kick it to the side and be like, my kid needs me, and that's what I'm doing. So that's my advice is, I guess, is to prioritize, to boil it down, know what's important at work so that you can leave and then be there for the stuff that you want to see. So happy Women's Equality, happy anniversary of voting. One thing I learned recently, and I have to throw this in there, is that not all women got the right to vote when white women did. And that's important to do your Googling on that history too.
That's the next panel.
Is it? Oh, okay. Sorry. Preview.
Segue.